Good morning, everybody. It's great to see you all here, and I want to get started with our good news. We are excited today to unveil the design for the new Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge. I would like to thank everybody who has been such a part of making this day possible. Let me acknowledge our wonderful Congresswoman who is here and who will speak to you momentarily, Congresswoman Eleanor, Holmes, Norton. All her colleagues who have been helpful, and I know she has some helpful colleagues who are making sure that the infrastructure needs that we have in Washington, D.C. are being met. And I also want to acknowledge all of our team who's present. And I don't have to tell most of you assembled here that getting big infrastructure projects like this underway is a huge undertaking. As it's been the case in the district, it's been a multi-year undertaking, but we have unwound it and got it going. And I want to thank Leif Dormsjo and our entire team at the District Department of Transportation. Give them a big round of applause as well. So I also don't have to tell you that investing in our infrastructure is key to how we can continue to be a growing city and the best city in the world. And improving our bridges is very critical to achieving this mission. We should all be proud that our city is well above the national average for structural deficient bridges. That sounds like a strange statement. So our bridges are better than their bridges, but not much. The national average is 7.3%. In D.C., we're at 2.4%, but we want that number to be zero. When I first became mayor, I tasked the department and Director Dormsjo with creating a system that makes that zero number a reality. He and the DDOT team are doing that and more with this incredible project. The new Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge is part of the larger South Capitol Street Bridge project. This is a $441 million initiative. It is the largest construction project in the history of the District of Columbia. It will create more than 200 new full-time and part-time jobs in the city. And I just want to now let you see it because we're also very proud of how it looks. I told the director that I wanted this to be a signature project for the District of Columbia, and now we would like you to take a look. Don't you like it? All right, I love it. It is designed and soon to be constructed by the South Capitol Street Bridge Builders. This is a joint venture between Archer Western Construction LLC and the Granite Construction Company with AECOM as the lead designer. And I am just very pleased that we have a design, we have a team, and we're ready to get going. In just a few minutes, we're going to show you a video that outlines all the details of the project. And I'm going to let the director now tell you a little bit more about how we got here and about the bridge. Thank you, Leif.
Thank you, Mayor Bowser. Mayor Bowser said it best. This is a huge milestone for the district. This new bridge is state-of-the-art. It is a one-of-a-kind bridge. And it will stand up against international design competitions across the globe. We're thrilled about the design and all the other amenities that we want to show you with the video. So stay tuned for the video where we're going to talk through the surrounding area and the other elements of this project in addition to the bridge. The project includes parks on either side of this bridge. We're building two ovals on either side. The oval on the east side, okay, so the east side is to my right here, will function as a meadow. seamlessly tying together the transition from this developed infrastructure into the surrounding nature and the Parkland-Suitway corridor. The oval on the west side of the bridge will function more like DuPont Circle and have passive recreation and a formal park space. And we'll show you all of this visually with the video in a matter of minutes. We're also replacing the Interstate 295 bridges. We're improving the area's drainage systems, and we're increasing dramatically the bicycle and pedestrian access, not just across the bridge and across the river, but along the riverfront. And so I think people are going to be really excited when they see those bicycle and pedestrian features. This was an incredible team effort. The mayor acknowledged DDOT, and I see a large number of DDOT team members here today. This took one DDOT, all sorts of disciplines coming together to make this a reality. But we also had terrific partners. Eleanor, Holmes, Norton, and Steny Hoyer were fighting for federal funds to make sure that this project had the investment capital that it needed to become a reality. The Office of Contracting and Procurement, I see Bill Sharp, our Chief Procurement Officer. Bill and I spent too much time together over the past 2.5 years, but we're still friends, which is important. Bill, thank you very much. You're a warrior. You're a hero. You made it happen for us. We have representatives from Councilmember Allen and White's offices here. Chris Lawson has been a steadfast partner at Federal Highway Administration, meeting with us literally every week to talk about this project and a lot of other projects in our delivery pipeline. I want to thank Chris specifically for his leadership. The National Capital Planning Commission, the Fine Arts, the Commission on Fine Arts, U.S. Coast Guard, National Park Service. We've got private partners here from the Washington Nationals, the Riverfront Bid, Uday, thank you, from Georgetown University, was kind of our architectural curator throughout the whole process and is probably more so than anybody responsible for making sure that the bidders understood the high visual quality expectations that we were going to have for this project and were able to achieve for this project. Thank you, Uwe, in particular. The list of partners goes on and on. It's only because of this team effort that we are here today, about to start the largest public infrastructure construction project in the district's history. I mean, that's a powerful, powerful statement. I want to acknowledge the South Capitol Bridgebuilders, Archer Western, which is with the Walsh Group out of Chicago, Granite Construction, AECOM. We have got the best in the business working with us. And we also have helping us as our owner's rep, HNTB, and I know some of their representatives are here today. So it takes the public and the private sector to make these things happen. My biggest thanks goes out to that DDOT team who worked with us on everything from acquiring property to organizing the request for proposals, studying the bridge elements, so we made sure we had a defensible record of decision with the federal government. Just hours and hours of work by the DDOT team to make sure that we got it right. Delmar Lytle in particular was our project manager. You can't miss him. He's the tallest person here, and he's in the back, and he's here with his young daughter. Thank you for coming back to share this moment with us. So we're really excited about the bridge. We'll get to the video in a moment, but I'd like to invite Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton up to talk to us. Thank you, Congresswoman. Thank you very much.
Mayor Bowser, you deserve to sit down. It's not fun. But I do want to express my appreciation to you for bringing this bridge. This is really Frederick Douglass Bridge number 3. And I'll tell you the saga of the Frederick Douglass Bridge in a moment. I know that Councilmember Charles Allen and Councilmember Trey and White were due to be here, I'm sure they would have been here if they were here. But the reason that their importance here is because this bridge, among other things, and it is a gateway bridge to the nation's capital, but it joins their two wards. Very important for the economic development and for the transportation from those wards in our city. So you've heard that the South Capitol Street corridor project now underway, or that is unveiled today. That's pretty zany, isn't it? Zoop. Is the largest construction project in DC history. Well, if it's the largest project in DC history, this Frederick Douglass Bridge also has taken the longest to build in DC history. So there's really a saga of the South Capitol Street Bridge which will make us appreciate what the mayor and the city are unveiling today. The bridge before you, the bridge behind me, is the temporary South Capitol Street Bridge. The reason it was built is because the first South Capitol Street Bridge, which by now is almost 70 years old, was so dangerous that you simply didn't want human beings or autos to cross it. So the South Capitol Street Bridge has become my major project on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee on which I serve. I can almost measure how long I've been in Congress by the work it's taken to bring this bridge to where the mayor has now brought us. The current bridge is not the way we're doing this bridge. The current bridge was built appropriation by appropriation until we got enough funds to build it. And that's why I'm sorry that my good friend Steny Hoyer isn't here, because he and I have more in common than friendship. We have in common constituents who needed to use this bridge. Then Congress still allowed earmarks, and that's the only reason that bridge is up, that I was able to get earmarks screaming that one of these days we were all going to be embarrassed because the South Capitol Bridge was going to come tumbling down. I got earmarks for the South Capitol Street Bridge and the 11th Street Bridge, and so I thought we're ready to go on both. And I gave priority, of course, to the South Capitol Street Bridge because it was in dangerous condition. So when they reduced the amount of the of the earmarks, I had to figure out what to do, and that was to feed Peter and starve Paul. I shifted funds from the 11th Street Bridge, which is now up, by the way, to the South Capitol Street Bridge because the South Capitol Street Bridge was the priority. That gave enough money for the replacement bridge that is behind me. Then, to fill in funding for the 11th Street Bridge earmark, which I had robbed, I got funds from something called the National Corridor Fund. And DC then made up the difference using parking revenue. I do love that. Parking revenue, not your taxpayer funds. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, we have been able to get funds for the 11th Street Bridge, and we're very proud of how the city has finished the 11th Street Bridge, while the South Capitol Street Bridge was the priority and is just going up now. We're hoping that this unveiling signals that the South Capitol Street Bridge can be built just as expeditiously as the 11th Street Bridge was. That, too, was a very complicated gateway bridge. That, too, is a federal highway. That is why we qualify for a great deal of federal funds. Like the 11th Street, the Frederick Douglass Street Bridge, of course, is in a category of its own. And it comes at a very interesting time. I expect my bill, which is almost to the floor, celebrating the bicentennial of Frederick Douglass, to come to the floor shortly because we're at the 200th year of the birth of Frederick Douglass. And we're now, under my bill, finding appropriate ways to honor Frederick Douglass. Well, Mayor Bowser, I think you have found the most appropriate way to honor Frederick Douglass. Build this bridge. Thank you for doing it.
Let's give Eleanor another round of applause for getting us our bridge going and staying on it and working with her colleagues to make sure we could see this day. I, too, want to acknowledge and thank our friends in the federal government at USDOT who have been with us every step of the way. So thank you, Chris, and please join us.
Mayor Bowser, Congresswoman Norton, I just want to say it's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate the invitation, and thank you very much. For those of you in the audience, my name is Chris Lawson. I am the Division Administrator for the Federal Highway Administration's District of Columbia Division Office. And I've been in this job for about 7.5 years, and I will say that I have had the extreme pleasure of working on 2 transformational and regionally significant projects in the district with the District Department of Transportation. And they are the 11th Street Bridge and the South Capitol Street Bridge. And I just want to tell you a quick story. About 2.5 years ago, the new director came into his position, and he immediately wanted to meet weekly with the Federal Highway Administration on this project because, from his perspective, this project had been in development for far too long. We proceeded to meet weekly, we set milestones, and because of his leadership, I would say that we're here today over the past 2.5 years because he really accelerated this project. Tough leadership, but leadership from Leif Dormsjo. I just want to say it has been a pleasure working with the district on bringing this project to where it is today. I want to give a sincere thank you to the leadership and staff at the District Department of Transportation, at the various other agencies that the director alluded to, as well as the consultants who are here today. And I just want to say congratulations to the team, the South Capitol Street Bridgebuilders, for the awarding of the project. So thank you all. I look forward to talking to many of you this afternoon. Thank you.
Chris.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you. I would also like to acknowledge our statehood delegation, Representative Franklin Garcia. Give Franklin a big round of applause. As well as Senator Paul Strauss. Thank you, Senator, and Senator Michael Brown. Thank you for being here. And our Director of the Department of Energy and the Environment is here, Tommy Wells. Thank you, Tommy Wells, for your leadership on all that we have here. And Eugene Kinlow, who is our Director of Federal and Regional Affairs. Thank you, Eugene. So we're now happy to answer just a few questions, and then we're going to go in. And I really encourage everybody to take a look at the video. You can see this drawing really comes to life in the video. Any questions?
Can you talk about Megan Clarity with WTOP? Can you talk about what the first phase is going to be, when the bridge is going to come down? Or can you talk about what people in this neighborhood can expect as far as construction?
Sure. Leif, can you just talk about timeline with us and all of the different phases we're going to go through?
So first of all, there is design work that needs to continue. That's already been advanced, and the first construction activity will be in the late winter and spring of next year. So the public won't see any major construction until some of the design submittals are brought to us and advanced. The existing structure will be operational until the new bridge is commissioned. So we're going to build the bridge adjacent to the existing structure, and then when it opens in March of 2021, then there's about an 8-month demolition phase that will occur on the back end. So the existing structure is going to be with us for a little while longer while we build a wider 6-lane span just adjacent to it. So design this year, construction beginning next year. About a 3.5-year construction period.
Director, what's the thought process behind the ovals? We love traffic circles here, and everybody knows how to drive through traffic circles around here. So why put an oval in on both sides of it?
Well, one important element of the The question was, why are there ovals on the east and west side of the bridge? What you have to recognize is that this view shed and this corridor, this gateway, as the Congresswoman mentioned, has very important historic and cultural significance for the District of Columbia and the nation, frankly. And so we really needed to work very closely with the regulatory agencies at the federal and regional level to make sure that the design elements were consistent with the L'Enfant plan and a lot of the principles that we have about views, open space, and landscaped areas within the District of Columbia. So that's a big part of it. And then we also had to make sure that the traffic engineering worked. And one of the really interesting elements about this particular design is that the team struck up what I would argue is almost a perfect balance between getting the aesthetics right and making sure that the roadway and pedestrian crossings and bicycle connections all work operationally.
It's not just about drivers then.
Exactly.
We can't say for sure that it's
all users of our transportation system, and you'll see that kind of visualization in the video, and pay close attention to the pedestrians, the cyclists, and then some of the recreational activity that is going to go on around and actually underneath the bridge.
So we can't tell people from Maryland or Virginia that their commute's going to get better into the city. It just is going to change.
Well, we're not. Obviously, the alignment is the same, but the current bridge structure has 5 lanes, and the new bridge will have 6. So we are actually adding capacity, and then the pedestrian and bicycle capacity is, exponentially better and more robust than we have today.
And I'm sure Adam was interested in his viewers in the District of Columbia, too, and their commutes.
Of course.
Of course. And so we're interested in making sure that their experience connecting, as the Congresswoman said, Wards 8 and Ward 6 in both sides of our river, and the changes that will happen that go along with that will improve the quality of life for D.C. residents, and that's important. I neglected to mention earlier that Leif and USDOT, the DDOT and the USDOT were also able to stay focused on local hiring, and I think we have something unique to say about that as well.
Yes, so as the mayor mentioned, because of the work that we were able to do with Federal Highway, this project, because we went through an application process, this project will have the first source hiring provisions, which are the local is the local ordinance that basically mandates that for new hires, 51% of the newly hired personnel across a whole range of different positions will be D.C. residents. So that's the first time that on a federal project that there's been the incorporation of a local hiring and employment development law such as the first source. So that's a really significant component of this, different than what happened on the 11th Street Bridge. And then the other really important aspect in terms of small business and disadvantaged business, this project will have a 22% disadvantaged business goal for the construction phase. The 11th Street Bridge was 6%. So that's a profound increase, and it reflects the availability of a lot of minority and female-owned businesses in this region who can now participate more substantively on the subcontracting opportunity. So local jobs and local businesses are working on this project along with the best contractors in the country based in Chicago and California. So this is really where the local and national come together in a very powerful way.
Okay, so I now would like to invite everybody to join me and our team.
The We have to ask you about the
Sure.
Terrence Sterling case. Can you please expound upon what you said last night in your statement that you're calling for the resignation of this officer despite the fact that it seems like the review found he was not at fault?
Well, what I said yesterday was that we are committed in our city to police and community relationships that are built on trust. Accountability and real accountability supports that trusting relationship. And I believe if there's no accountability in this incident, that we break trust with our community. So we don't have any power over prosecutorial decisions. Those are criminal in nature. But we do have the responsibility to look at our policies and procedures and make sure that they are being followed. Now, MPD starts their phase of kind of the personnel aspects of the investigation. But as we do that, we think it would be better for our force and our community if the officer resigns.
Bowser, are you referring you're frustrated with the need to hold him accountable because he didn't have his body camera on or because of the killing itself?
I'm sorry?
Are you frustrated that he didn't have his body camera on?
I don't want you to refer to feelings or frustration. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is my responsibility to make sure we're doing all that we can to support police and community relationships that allow the community to trust the police. And so our department will look at all aspects of our policies and procedures that may not have been followed. One we know for sure is that body cameras were not engaged. That doesn't change anything about the incident itself or the death of Terrence Sterling, but what it deprived us all of is just one potential view. It may not have been conclusive, but we were denied of one potential view of what happened. What I promised the residents in going and investing $5 million for every patrol officer to have a body camera is that we would have the benefit of that footage. Thank you.